You didn't jump this time.
I always do a little bit.
I almost jumped.
Just a little. Did you jump?
I never jump.
You're the one making it.
So I get a lot of talk up here about the fact that I bang the gavel, and they all say, it's too loud. Your eye makes me jump. So anyway, I do it anyway. I would like to call to order the December 2nd, 2025 meeting of the Logan City Council. Our opening ceremony this evening will be given by our Fire Chief, Nate Thompson.
Would the audience go ahead and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Nate. As we like it, short and sweet. Our next item on the agenda is the acceptance of the minutes and the approval of our agenda for this evening.
I will move acceptance of the minutes and approval of the agenda.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. This is the time on our agenda when we allow questions and comments for either the mayor or the council or both. We ask that you take 3 minutes or less, tell us your name, where you live, and please keep your comments to something that is not otherwise on the agenda. Is there anyone who wishes to speak?
Good evening. My name's Paul Rogers. I'm a resident of Logan, just a few blocks from here. Here tonight to make a request of city government about bicycle and pedestrian advisory committee. It's been going on in the county for many, many years, and it's recently sort of dissolved. I've been on that committee since its initiation about 12 or 13 years ago. And I think, especially in Logan, this is very important that we have communication between our pedestrian and bike planning and citizens who have experience in that area. So that's why I'm here. I'm making a plea that we perhaps form a similar, very similar committee for the city of Logan in 2026. Is there a need for this? Yes, there's a great need. There's safety. There's connectivity, there's continuity issues with bike transportation, pedestrian transportation. And some of these things we've had great successes in. We have particularly a number of inconsistencies in our bike trails and a lack of connectivity and continuity. We have a number of isolated bike trails around the city. One thing that you've probably heard me harp on a bit here before is that we have volunteer committees, and sometimes they're not listened to, regardless of the topic. Some of these people have great expertise, sometimes more expertise than some of the folks working for the city, but I'm not here to criticize, I'm more here to put together a proposal of collaboration as we move into 2026. The problems in the past are not clear to me with the county, but basically they didn't allocate enough time, and there was always issues with the county saying we don't have the personnel to spend that much time on this. And so as we consider doing this, that we allocate a person's time or several people's time. I know there are several qualified people in the city of Logan to do this, and I also know there are several qualified citizens that have a background of regular bicycle commuting and walking around town, and I think the connectivity of that will be really important. Also involving, of course, the safety aspect and law enforcement. So that's my plea to you tonight. I think there's a great need for this. I think we can improve on what we've already started here, but we need to have that citizen-city collaboration to do that. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Did you want to say anything about what you've been working on? Or not now?
Sure, let's do it after public comment.
Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to speak?
just a car out there. It's a red CRV with their lights on. So if somebody's in here that has a red CRV.
I'm gonna guess they might be at the library.
Just let anybody in the room know.
So, thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Seeing no one, I'll bring it back to the council. Mike, did you want to say anything about BPAC?
I'll do it during my board and committee reports.
Okay.
How's that sound?
That sounds fine. Mayor, we'll turn the time over to you.
We have 2 reports tonight. The first is from Tyson Godfrey, who is the new resource manager for Light and Power, and he will be giving us an update on energy projects. And then following that, we'll have Russ Aquina give an update on RAPS projects. You may remember that he came to the city as a volunteer member of the RESAB. Oh, how long ago was that when we were talking about, along with the Power Board Director? Was that 6 months ago?
Yeah.
And in the meantime, we've hired him. So he replaced Yushi, who had served for many years in that position. We're delighted to have him on board as an employee.
Did she leave without any of us knowing?
She was very quiet about her
One
departure.
day.
She had, yes.
I'm sorry, because we would have liked to have celebrated her. Like a thief in the night, okay.
Yep. Let's see, is this the best mic to use right here?
Yeah, you just talk. You can, yeah, either one.
Okay, well, I'm excited to go through some updates on our energy projects and power resources. So just a quick update from the past year. Current peak load for the city is 100 megawatts. So actually down a few megawatts from some of our past years, but that kind of gives you a context of our peak load when you look at some of these resource sizes coming up. Over the last 3 months, we averaged 18% renewables in our electric mix. 58% was dispatchable coal, gas, or local generation, and 25% was market purchases. You see some of the detailed breakdowns there on how the different resources stacked up in those
What does
percentages.
dispatchable mean?
It just means that you can control when it's on and off. So right now, the only dispatchable we have is fossil fuel, so coal and gas.
Okay.
But it's basically ones that you can schedule when you want.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Do we have any geothermal dispatchable in our portfolio?
Not right now. We've got some on the upcoming, but none that is
That's
currently
right.
in operation.
Thank you.
Going over our current renewable resources, all of these are currently operational. The CRISP is the Colorado River hydropower, and then our 2 solar projects and the wind have both been producing well, helping us meet a significant portion of our need lately. And VEO is a smaller unit. It's a heat recovery unit on a natural gas pipeline. So it's not using the natural gas, it's harvesting waste heat to generate electricity. And that has been offline for 6 months, but just came back online within the last week or 2. So good to have that one back. So yeah, dispatchable, these are the current ones we have. So we've got Hunter is our coal unit. It is, we call it base load, but currently UAMPS lets us schedule it whenever we want, so we can kind of treat it as peaking or base load or whatever we need it to be at the moment. Sunnyside was the other coal project, but it had some major damages during an event there and is offline indefinitely and probably will not come back. So this unit will likely be dropping off of our resources. It was nearing the end of our contract with them anyways. And overall, it's a good thing. You can see that the cost on that one was about $90 per megawatt hour. And currently market's much cheaper than that. So it gets us out of some expensive power and we can replace it with some cheaper market purchases in the short term.
When does Hunter go offline?
It's a great question.
It depends on which way the wind's blowing for Pacific Core.
Yeah. So 2030, maybe later. I think it depends on when you ask. At least another 5 years, but after that, not really sure. IPP is.
Can I ask a question on Sunnyside?
Yeah.
I did not realize that it was offline. When did that happen?
That was.
Maybe 2 months ago.
Yeah, 2 months
Okay.
ago.
And are we still paying like a base rate to them that we
No.
normally would? Because
No.
typically there's a rate you're paying even if it's not running. But
So
we're not
this one
paying.
was a PPA, and so
Okay.
since they're not delivering power, we're not paying them.
Perfect.
Yep.
Good to know. Thank you.
Yep. IPP Intermountain Power has historically been a coal plant, but it was recently converted to natural gas. And I believe the fourth and final natural gas unit there is being commissioned right now and should be online in the next couple weeks, was the last I saw. Currently we don't have any IPP called back. Next summer when we do though, it'll be all natural gas. The coal is pretty minimal at this point, and yeah, we'll be pretty much transitioned to natural gas by the time we use it next. For our local generation, our local hydro is currently producing about 1.2 megawatts of power. It's not a lot, but it's consistent, and during the spring, at peak, it can produce up to 5. Our local stock generation is available to use as needed. Currently not running it because market's been cheaper, but it's there if we need it. And then the new sub-9 natural gas generator is under construction. The actual plant is mostly complete. We're just waiting for the natural gas line to be completed to those units. It should be online sometime in the next couple months. We're shooting by April at the latest, just to make sure we have that online to help support some of our needs going into the EDAM market this spring. Yep, and once that new generator is complete, that'll put us up to about 28 megawatts of local capacity. Here's the projects that we've committed to that are currently in the pipeline under initial development or construction. Fremont Solar and Battery, I believe that was just a month or two ago that came to City Council. All the other participants completed their agreements, and the PPA was finalized and signed with UAMPS and them. So this one is underway. Target date of operation for this will be end of 2027. So we're excited to have that one online. No big concerns with development on that one. It's already started. And then the other two are the two natural gas projects through UAMPS. So the Millard County one is targeted for end of 29, and then the Power County is 2031. And both of these are still pretty early in their development process. Definitely still some development risk for both of these projects that we're watching, but believe that the next milestone for these is we should have some higher fidelity cost estimates for both of these towards, well, I guess we're already at the end of the year. So I think they said in December, so anytime now we should have some better cost estimates for these to make sure that they're tracking with these targets that we had.
What are those risks that you are?
I mean, they're still finalizing locations and permitting and getting bids back from contractors. So it's still early on in these two projects. They said they're already approved, contracts are signed, they're moving forward on them. They'll start spending money on some of these soon for long lead items. Some of the natural gas generators have 3 or 4 year lead times right now. So they'll start putting deposits on some of that stuff, but yeah, they're early enough that they're still still quite a bit they're figuring out on the engineering and cost side of things. Okay, and then finally we have our potential resources. These are opportunities that are under investigation, but we don't have any firm commitments or contracts on these. So on the local solar, we had that initial feasibility study that was presented to council. And one of the options that was presented in there was the Honeystone Solar, which was on the northwest side of the valley. The zoning for that project did not get approved at the county council, so that project is not looking great right now. So one of my recommendations is that we'll go back and maybe do some more detailed study on some of those other options that were in that feasibility study. We were hoping that one would work out, but we'll do maybe some more detailed analysis and get some better cost on some of these other options for local development.
Do you know offhand what their reasoning for denying the zoning was? Were you at the meeting or?
No, I just got the summary from you.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like they were concerned about sort of the way that it looked, the view shed, sort of having, you know,
And they were concerned about the industrial aspect of it too. from what I
right, and the
understand.
loss of ag land,
Yeah.
although
Yeah.
this was on less than prime ag land, and they were still
Yeah.
going to have animals grazing. Again, I went to a couple of the workshops where the County Planning Commission was discussing it, and, you know, it seemed to be progressing with some, you know, obviously some parameters, but,
Yeah.
so,
I think they had a lot of public,
Comment?
a public comment
Concerns.
against it, public concerns.
again, I was not there at the final meeting when they voted. Their meetings now are the same night as our meetings.
Right.
They used to alternate, so.
Yeah, because I attended the one and the concerns were like, they didn't have a maximum
Yeah.
acreage, and that they were considering requiring a buyback for local power versus selling it all, so. I
But again,
just-
I'd gone to one of the meetings and said, Logan is interested in buying some of this. So, yeah.
Yeah, I know the NL, the developer, said they were going to try to work with the council and appeal the decision, but yeah, right now that one's not moving forward, so we'll keep looking at those other options. And next one is geothermal. We currently have a 2 megawatt share on a project that's in a study phase. Not a lot of updates on that. It's still going forward, but no major updates. And then we have heard through UAMPS that there may be additional geothermal available for purchase. It would be in the range of $100 per megawatt hour. So more than the baseload gas plant, but less than the peaking plant. So one of the actions I want to take is to go and look and see what that price would do to our rates if we were to increase our share in one of these potential geothermal projects. And then the other one is we had a 2 megawatt share in a wind project through UAMPS, and not just that one, but all wind projects have been put on indefinite hold because of tariffs on wind turbine components and other federal policy changes. So as of right now, no wind projects are moving forward pretty much anywhere. Yeah, I think that's all we got there. I guess one more update I did not mention on NEBO on the other slide is that there was an event at NEBO that took that plant offline for the past month or so. That is 17 megawatts, so a decent chunk of our load comes from NEBO. But they were able to get the simple cycle turbine back online today. So it's back up to 50% capacity, but the other 50% won't be back online until April. They had to ship off the combined cycle turbine to Texas to get repaired because of the damage that happened. So
Wow.
we're currently looking at doing some block purchases and some other market purchases to make up that shortfall that we'll have for the next several months until April when that comes back. Sub 9 I already talked about, and then the other big thing we're tracking is that May 1st is the go live date for EDAM. So
And maybe just remind the audience just a short,
yeah,
just
so
what it
EDAM
stands
is the
for.
extended day ahead market. It's a market that involves a large footprint of the Western U.S. power grid, and it fundamentally changes how we are purchasing power from the market. All purchases will be made on this day ahead market, and there are specific requirements that come with that on having enough. You basically have to have enough capacity going into the market to be able to participate, and then the market will select the most economically advantageous units to run. So you may not run your unit, but you have to bring it to be able to participate. So things like our new sub 9 generation will be very helpful for that, that we can hopefully take advantage of some better market prices and not run ours, but if they get high enough, we have ours that we can bid into the market and run as needed to help cover and control cost of the market. So they're working through a lot of those details on EDAM right now as far as how things will work, and for anyone that's interested, I was talking to Mike Taylor, the chair of RESAB, and he was wanting to put together a training for that board and anyone else that was interested to go over some of those details and how things are going to work and how it's going to affect us now that we're getting a lot of those details on how it's going to affect us.
And if you do put together that training, maybe just extend the invitation to council members. I know our council members tend to be really involved, and if they're interested, great. If not, that's fine too.
Yep,
But-
we'll definitely include as we do that.
Is that May 1st date set in stone at this point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the FERC tariff that was required for that to go into effect did go through, so it's real at this point.
With the reduced NEVO capacity, would we expect any surcharges?
Not yet. We're writing close on our planned budget right now, but we've been able to keep it within our planned budget so far. Hopefully some of these block purchases will help give us some hedge against the market going up over the winter, but as of right now, the market's been good enough that we've been okay without NEVO.
Can you go back a slide?
Yep.
So you have up there the solar study options.
Yeah.
Can you just go over those really quickly?
Yeah, so some of the other items in that feasibility study, we're doing local battery storage at the sub 7 or sub 9, 8 megawatts at the sewer lagoons, or we looked at smaller property around the city that there was potentially the opportunity to do some smaller installations at some of the other properties at other substations or other locations. I know a lot of those were just theoretical, and the biggest lift is going to be looking at actual availability of property. And I know with the sewer lagoons and other options that there might be other conflicting needs or planned projects at those sites that may or may not let us do some of these options that were in the feasibility study.
Thank you.
Again, there's just been a lot of discussion lately about renewable energy, how much we can use, how much is available, and again, I think Tyson's doing a great job of trying to integrate as much in as we can make work, and we'll continue to do that. So thank you very much for that report. We appreciate that, and again, formally welcome you. So I know you've been on board.
Thanks for having me on board.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay.
Thanks, Tyson.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. Good to be with you this evening. I've been asked to give you an update, brief update on the city's RAPS tax projects. And for those in the audience that don't know what RAPS is, It's, you repeat after me.
Restaurants,
Restaurants, parks,
No,
zoos.
recreation.
Recreation,
Parks and
zoo.
zoo.
But it comes
It also, there's
It comes
also
from restaurants.
there also is a restaurant tax. There's two taxes.
well, we blew it.
Perfect.
Should we do that in unison again?
We had the arts, parks, and zoos part.
We got the parks and zoos, yeah.
Okay. I'm
But
gonna get that out of the
recreation.
way. We currently have 9 projects that are going on in the department at various different levels. Of that 9, we have 5 that we're focusing on because they have deadlines. Sometimes the deadlines are set by an extension of that, so that requires me to go back to the County Council and request an extension on a project to keep the funding there. And we've had 4 projects that have deadlines for the end of this month. And so from a staffing standpoint, it's go like crazy to get it done. And we feel pretty good about where they are right now. But here is the list of projects. And by the way, when we make application annually, it's usually in the neighborhood of about 440 to 450,000. And that number has been kind of a traditional number that the county kind of hovers over in terms of how much disbursement we'll receive. And so out of that amount, then we have to determine from our capital improvement schedule which of those have the best, not just best chance, but the highest priority for projects that need to be done. So of the 9 that we have, and I'll just list these for you briefly, the Logan Outdoor Recreation Complex, this is out south of the landfill, 200 south and between 1350 west and 1900 west. And the majority chunk of that project was put towards trails and the parking lots for Maple View Park, the disc golf course, and the 19th West Dog Park, along with the trails that connect to those parking lots. The Logan Middle Canal, this is the trail culvert on 1250 north at 800 east. This is adjacent to USU, the softball field, and their service entrance there on 1250 north. And what that culvert will do is allow for the trail that's along 8th East and runs along the stormwater ditch there that goes under 800 East to connect to 1400 North. And that project will be done. As far as the funding for this project from RAPS will be done by the end of this month. 1800 South, this is a trail at 18th South and about 1320 West. And it's near completion now. The last part of it is installation of black chain link fence that separates the Logan River Estates subdivision from the Springs subdivision. And that trail connects 18th South to the Logan River Trail. Maple View Park at 200 South, that project is all but done. We have 2 playgrounds to install at that park at 2nd South and about 1320 West, and that'll be done in the spring. And then Trapper Park, the Trapper Park Trail Bridge, that has a end date of December 31st. The bridge is here. It's not on site, but it is here. Somewhere between the 8th of December and the 19th of December, we anticipate the bridge being moved on site and then installed onto the abutments. So the bridge requires an abutment on each end. The north abutment was done about a month ago, and the south abutment was finished, I think, right around Thanksgiving. And it typically takes about 21 days for that to cure. So it'll be a while before it's ready for the bridge. And then the remaining 4 that we have of the 9, we have a boiler to replace at the Aquatic Center. And that procurement's already been done, and we're preparing to meet with the installer so that we have that ready for the 2026 summer season. Disc golf course pavilion and picnic tables, we're preparing to order that pavilion. That will be placed in the near the parking lot out at the outdoor recreation complex. Its purpose is to be an amenity for the public to use, but also for tournaments that we may have in the future for the disc golf course. And then along with that is a restroom within proximity of that site, same schedule. And then finally, the Main Street pedestrian bike underpass near 600 South and Main Street. I'm sure you've seen this as you go by. The retaining walls appear to be in some form of construction on either side of the road. There's a good chunk of last year's application went towards that project as part of the city's match. So if you have any questions with regards to any of those projects, I'm happy to try to answer those.
Can I just make a comment? So you stole my thunder on my report for Parks and Rec when we give ours, but that's okay. I have other things I can talk about. But I think the significant thing about the 1800 South, et cetera, is you mentioned that actually connects 6 different housing developments, giving a huge amount of access to the west and south side of the city. So thanks for getting those projects done.
And again, those are shared use paths, so they do accommodate bicycles as well as pedestrians. And
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. That is a critical point to this planning.
And I know the neighborhoods really appreciate them. I was running them the other day with some people in the neighborhood, and they are beautiful, and the neighborhood loves them.
good.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Russ.
Thank you.
Thanks, Russ.
That's a lot on your plate.
And that's all I have for today.
Okay, we will move now to council business, and I'm going to change the order just a little bit, and I'm going to let Vice Chair Johnson go first on his report.
Sounds good. It was not the busiest month I've had because of the holiday, but it wasn't too quiet. A couple of things I did over the last month is I attended another Utah League of Cities and Towns Housing Advisory Committee. I've been attending those virtually every month for a while. It's been good to have housing discussions with people all across the state in those discussions. All of us, 2 weeks ago, attended a joint workshop with the Planning Commission for the general plan, which was a great time to be able to discuss the general plan with the Planning Commission and to hear an update from forgetting the name of the company that's doing it. It's fine.
Housel Levine.
Housel Levine, that's right. And then other things I've done, I have had a couple meetings with Public Works. Paul and I have been talking as an update to Paul Rogers, Paul Lindhart and I have been talking about the formation of a bicycle and pedestrian advisory board or a transportation board. We're still in kind of early discussion phases of what that might look like for Logan City. But I think we'll continue to have those discussions over the next couple of weeks and hopefully be able to start coming to the council with some thoughts and ideas and coming to the public with some ideas to get feedback and hopefully get something planned. I would like to get something, if we're going to do something in the next couple of months. But we have started those discussions. We haven't, I think, got anywhere formal with that yet. But maybe Paul and I can put a little more concerted effort into it over the next month and come back in January with something. So I'll put that on my to-do list and smile at Paul across the room. Other things I've done, obviously, is the canvass of the election a couple weeks ago. And then I had a meeting with Rich about budgetary concerns, not concerns, information, things I needed. So that's some updates from me. Back to you, Jeannie.
And now it is Amy's turn.
It's my turn. All right, so the library board met, just a couple quick things on that. I found interesting Average daily number of patrons is 586. Average daily circulation is over 1,400. Storytime last month had 13 programs with 888 attendees and 7 other children's events with another 336. So people are using the library, which is great to see. The circus train will be back, so if anyone would like to join the Friends of the Logan Library, which is a independent 501c3, they are the ones who are helping with the Christmas train. Go to the Logan City Library website. You can click on Friends of the Logan Library. It's only $5 to join as an individual, $10 as a family. And it's a great way to help support the library. They do provide some funding for things that otherwise are not in our budget there. Parks and Rec, as I mentioned, Russ stole my thunder on a few things, but the ice rink is up and running. Just a reminder, that's open Monday through Sundays, different times. Check the Parks and Rec website. $5 a person, $3 for skate rentals. If you're old like me, you get a discount to $3. Includes the broken hip insurance. I wish it did. But it doesn't.
Legal shaking there.
In your dreams.
Is that on
it
the
does.
public record now?
And then Bear River Local Homeless Council, we met today to talk about a variety of different things. I'd encourage anybody who is willing to volunteer for the point in time count, which happens on the night of January 28th. It's from midnight till 2 in the morning. They always need volunteers for that. Also attended a Shelter Cities meeting. For those of you who don't know, we do receive some mitigation funding for that we in turn pass on to CAPSA and Bragg for their street outreach programs. The Warming Center is open. They opened on Sunday. They had 17 guests there Sunday night and 22 guests there last night. So it's good to have that in place with the cold weather that's going on. Also attended a community education dinner at Bridgerland Tech. I can't remember what's their official name. Is it
Bridgerland Technical College.
Technical College. Ernesto was there as well, and then as Mike said, to the general planning. Do you want me to talk about the vacancy at this point in time too, Jeannie?
Yep.
So as you may or may not know, we are missing a member right now to the Logan City Council, Mark
There's an
Anderson.
empty chair over there.
Since he was elected mayor, resigned in order for us to be able to appoint his that vacancy. I've had a couple people say, why didn't this happen during the election? And just so people know, state code, once somebody resigns, we have to appoint somebody within 30 days of that vacancy happening. And I think that's for the safety and protection of our citizens. It's make sure that you have all of your representatives here instead of waiting months and months and months to have somebody seated. So that appointment will be happening at our next council meeting in 2 weeks. If you are interested in running, you can come and meet with Teresa. She can walk you through that. There's an application that needs to be completed. There's a conflict of interest form. There will be a campaign financial statement that needs to be completed. The deadline for that is this Friday at 5 p.m. So if you're interested, please come and do that. And we will be conducting that after our regular council business in 2 weeks. An opening statement will be given, and then we'll actually be having some questions from our council members to the potential candidates. It is an open vote, so if somebody of the candidates who apply, if somebody gets 50%, then we're done. So we'll see how it all goes, but if you're interested, please make sure you apply by Friday.
Thanks, Amy.
You're welcome.
Ernesto.
Yes, a couple of the meetings either got canceled or I was not able to make it. But I did get to attend that community education dinner with Amy and other community leaders. It was put together by CAPS, is that the name of the program?
Yep.
That was interesting to hear. Another option for our youth to do more than concurrent enrollment or AP classes in their high school as they look beyond or what comes after high school. The public arts meeting, we reviewed some of the changes that were proposed or requested, I guess, for the mural that will be going into the Willow Park by the baseball fields. And some more changes were requested or suggested for the artists to kind of think through. And those will be made, I'm sure, public pretty soon. The America 250 committee did have a meeting where they asked me as a follow-up for the potential of a mural with that theme in mind, which I kind of relayed the message to Aaron, and he will be joining us in our next meeting, which will happen this week on Wednesday night, tomorrow night. I also got to be at the canvas of the elections results, and this last weekend I kind of strolled around downtown during the Christmas kickoff on Saturday, and I did get to take some fun photos for the city of what was going on, so that was fun.
Good, great. So I'll give a short Planning Commission update. When the Planning Commission met last, they approved 9 new residential units at 675 and a half North, 500 West in the MR9 zone. And they also approved a new Dutch Brothers Coffee that will be south of the South Walmart on 1200 South and Highway 89 in the commercial zone. There are 2 other projects that are code amendments that will come to us as workshops. So we are now at item C. So every year we choose a chair and a vice chair for the following year. Because of the way our schedule was this year, I decided we would do it today, even though that person won't start until January. But it gives them time to, whoever it is, time to look at the committee assignments and decide whether the people are on the right committees or whether they want to, whether somebody wants to change up a committee or something like that. We try to be on all of them at some point in time. So that said, I will, this is sort of it's a really random thing that we do. So if someone has a passion to be the chair, they need to speak up. If someone wants to nominate someone to be the chair, they need to speak up.
Well, I want to be the chair, but I won't be on the council anymore, so I guess I can't.
I have an idea.
Nominate myself.
You could apply. No.
I could have run that.
I'm teasing.
So you wouldn't entertain a nomination?
If she will, I can think about seconding it.
But
We will miss you.
I'll miss you guys too.
You can come visit from the audience.
I will come and visit from the audience.
She can heckle us.
Please do.
You guys, you got to do this.
It's always,
I mean, we can keep it the way it is for another year. We can change it up totally. We can have the vice chair become the chair. However you want to do it.
Wait till January and do it, and have the full council.
I guess you don't really have.
Don't look at me
You're
because I'm not
behind
gonna be on
me,
the
so I
council.
turned to look.
I guess,
Sorry, I'll ignore you.
One question I would have though is like, or do you want to wait until the 2 new people are seated? I mean, I guess the question is how important is it for the committee assignments? That would just be, I think, for you guys to decide. I feel really uncomfortable voting for a position that I'm not going to be on the council for.
If we did postpone doing a chair and vice chair, could the current chair go ahead and make the assignments for the committees for next year, even though,
Yeah, I can.
I mean, I'd be okay with that.
Do you
Does it
want me
matter?
to
It doesn't
continue to
go
run the
down till
meeting on the first meeting in January?
Yeah. I mean, ask Teresa, I think most of the committee assignments, maybe there'd be a meeting that got missed or 2, but it could wait until January as well, if you prefer.
If, you guys have to say something. I'm the chair, I'm not going to make a motion.
Mike, are you?
I think I said this last year, that I think any of us, I guess besides you at this point, would be great as chair and vice chair, and I'm happy with any options.
Do you want to wait? Do you
We
want
can
to do
wait.
it now?
How are you feeling about being chair?
I'm happy to be chair. I'm happy to be vice chair. I'm happy to sit on the sidelines and smile at the chair. I'm happy being up here.
I would nominate.
We can wait.
I would
I'm happy to wait.
nominate, if we want to do it tonight, I would nominate Mike to be chair.
Okay, if you want to do it tonight, make that decision first. Do you want to do it tonight or not?
You're looking at me.
I'm looking at both of you. Do you want to do
I
it
will.
tonight?
I will say what I said to you when we discussed whether we should do this tonight a couple weeks ago. That I think it's unlikely that we would appoint a new person on their first week in council to be a chair. So it's more than likely that it's going to be one of the three of us, with one of the three of us as a vice chair.
I agree on that.
And so I think doing it tonight is fine.
Okay.
That's fine with me.
Is it okay with you?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Mike has been nominated. Anybody else?
Can I nominate Ernesto as the vice chair?
We're doing one at a time.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought we were doing it all at once.
Because unless you want to be nominated, you want to be the vice chair too.
As chair, are you waiting for someone to second?
Do you need a
Mike as a
second
chair?
for the
Well,
nomination?
I guess so.
I would second it.
Okay.
It feels weird seconding yourself, can I be honest? So thank you.
You're welcome.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I'm abstaining.
Okay.
No opinion.
No, well, again, as I said, I feel
I know.
it's awkward voting for something that's.
Well, it also feels awkward
Yeah.
seconding yourself, so,
Okay.
in front of an audience that's enjoying this awkward conversation.
Now we're to the vice chair.
I'll nominate Ernesto as vice chair.
You're willing to do it? Okay.
I'll second it.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're done. As of January 1st, Mike will take over the chair and Ernesto will take over vice chair.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
guys.
Yeah.
You can second or not vote.
I
know who else is going.
So you get to manage all of the process.
Wonderful.
It'll be fun.
I will email everyone and get their committee opinions.
Amanda, I like your haircut.
New color, too.
I take it you're ready to go to 8A then.
So we're going to move now to our action items, and because our action item is right over here, we'll turn the time over to you.
Okay, thank you. I'm not Amanda. She is at home with her kids. I am Mike Desmoni. And we are going to just talk about the Community Development Block Grant Program for just a quick second. We are required to do this statutorily, just to say, hey, world, we are starting the 2026 program year. It is, application period starts in December. We slowly have kind of brought it back in time to give us more time at the end of it. And really, this is a public hearing, not an action item, but really it's a public hearing if folks have any ideas to give to you. You're the steering committee, your city council, but also the CDBG steering committee. So you will make some decisions, some recommendations to council. And so it'd be good to hear if people have ideas. I'll just go through what she put together for you. We are preparing to adopt a new annual action plan for 2026 next year once we go through this process. And this is based on the priorities that we adopted in our 2024 to 2028 consolidated plan. So things that we will fund with this program, and I'll preface to say that this is a federal grant. This isn't city dollars. This is federal dollars that we get through this grant program. We're an entitlement city. We get approximately $560,000, we think, this coming year. And we don't know the funding certainty after that. We don't know if it'll be continued or not. So we will know more hopefully next year. So things that we can fund: public infrastructure and facilities, nonprofit services support, and then the planning side of it. And they're limited by what we can fund and how much we can fund for each of those areas. So our first priority in our plan is to fund things that contribute to a suitable living environment. So it's the non-sexy, non-glamorous things, but sidewalks. We do a lot of sidewalks, a lot of ADA corners, things that we take for granted unless you live in a community or in a neighborhood that doesn't have a sidewalk. So we want to provide the way for folks to get from their home to a park, from their home to work, from their home to a bus stop. And this is geared towards neighborhoods that are considered low and moderate income. And most of Logan is. The areas that are not low LMI areas, we can use some of this funding to help with some of the ADA issues, access and mobility. The second area that we can fund, public facilities and public services. So things like job training, transitional housing, domestic abuse programs. This is limited by how much we have available to fund. The percentage is limited by federal statute. So we can't spend all of our money on job training. We can only spend a certain percentage of it. Third thing is we got to pay the bills. So this pays our overhead. And then also we have a little bit left over for planning grants. So if you remember last year, we had a little bit of money left over that we're going to throw at a homeless grant to do a homeless document. So here's our timeline. So we're going to start the application December 15th, run it for a month, have a workshop on the 30th, get to the steering committee in February, public comment will start in March, and then a public hearing, hopefully adopt the plan April 6th. So, any questions?
Not for me. Anybody? This is a public hearing. If anyone wishes, any member of the public wishes to speak to this, has suggestions or thoughts that we need to be aware of, please come to the podium, state your name, take where you live, and take 3 minutes or less. Anyone? We'll bring it back to the council. We don't have any action on this one. We just are receiving the timeline.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Our next public hearing is our fire chief talking about our wildland urban interface code.
Wooey, which is so
Wooey.
bad to say.
The
wooey.
Okay. I was just going to go ahead and do a quick high-level review of what Chief Lacroix introduced the other day. It's a lot to take in. Since then, the Forest, Fire, and State Lands, we refer to FFSL, they've actually released a couple of nice graphics for us to try to review with people to help them understand. So let me just pull this one up real quick for you. So this, let's see here. Okay. So this graphic right here kind of puts into illustration what Chief Lacroix explained last week in workshop. If you were to look at the outer boundary here with the box checked, that would be like an indication of a city boundary, okay? And within that boundary, the WUI mapping that we're going to be adopting tonight, hopefully, would be indicated by this blue box. Now that is driven by, you can see in these bullets, that is driven by our local assessment using the URAP tool, which Robert discussed last week in terms of risk of wildland-urban interface. The line and the boundary that was introduced last week, which I'll bring up here, is indicated by this blue line that I'm going to show you in the Logan map, all right? That's our responsibility in the WUI mapping here in Logan City. The red area that you see there is the high-risk WUI mapping, wild and urban, that will be released by the state. Now you can see in both categories they've held firm on the January 1st, 2026 adoption date. At least that kind of gives you an overview. I like to look at the blue box as a zone. So if you look at how we've zoned Logan City for different classifications of building, that's what we've done. We're building a zone boundary for the WUI. The red map will be an overlay that comes in from the state that will come with it, as we've mentioned. If anyone is in that zone, they will be assessed a fee. We don't know what those fees look like. The map is still not done. I don't think we'll see it till the beginning of the year. So we will worry about that when that gets here, but for us today, we'll look at it simply. We'll adopt the 2006 code and ordinance, and we'll look at the boundary map, and it'll be what Robert showed last week with no changes. But this is a nice little info sheet. I really think that's kind of a nice summary of what that means. The little legend here is just pretty much how I just described it for you. So, okay.
How come did our boundary, why was our boundary smaller than the high-risk boundary when it's still within the city?
Well, actually, we don't know what the high-risk boundary is yet. We haven't even seen that map.
Oh.
We know what they're building it off of, the tool that they're using, but we have not actually seen that map. Just the data that they're supposed to be using has been shared, and we built our city map, our zone map, based off that data from URAP. Now, the URAP tool is the Utah Wildfire Risk Mapping. And apparently they're using a tool there at the state that is supposed to be a little more sophisticated, and that data hopefully being a little more accurate. What that looks like, we still don't.
But what, on the one you just showed, so if indeed we had created the blue box and the state created the red box, would we alter our blue box to incorporate the red pieces?
Possibly. And that, I feel like with this being an ordinance we're trying to adopt without seeing their data, yes. To me, that would be something that we would want to consider and review with legal and with in terms of like our building requirements, like, hey, does this make sense to go ahead and move that boundary? And that is a real possibility for all the cities within our coverage area. And we've had that exact conversation with all the councils here in our coverage area. So if you look at what we're talking about, if you take the infographic that FFSL has given us, if you take that information, now you're looking at Logan City's boundaries, okay? And this is the northeast. Here at my cursor, obviously that's the east bench. Logan City's boundary, or city boundary, is indicated by the red line. You can see that moves up through, up along the bench. The green, bright green hatched area is the zone boundary that we're looking at adopting as the Logan City zone boundary map for our wildland urban interface area. And it's it's a fairly big map, but I'm just taking you down through there so you can kind of see. Now, essentially, just like Chief LaCroix mentioned last council, it pretty much follows right now the Bonneville Trail and the deer fence. This falls in line with what we've done in Providence, or recommended to do in Providence, River Heights, and in North Logan. North Logan has adopted their boundary is pretty much following that same area until they also see the state map to see if we need to make any adjustments. So this is the exact same map. I just so people could see it in the audience, I just went ahead and hatched it in so you could actually see that zone boundary created up against the Logan City boundary and then the area we're going to be designated. Now, from what I can tell at this point with that WUI zone, unless there's new growth coming, I don't believe that there's any current homes affected by this zone. If they are, they're hidden in this area down in here that I'm circling, but it's really hard to tell if that's the case. Okay, so that's the boundary map that coincides with the adoption of the 2006 WUI code, which is, it's like a 38-page document that's being put into the city code.
That was mandated by the state.
What was that?
That was basically mandated by the state.
Correct. Now keep in mind it's the 2006 Wildland Urban Interface Building Code. Most of what's in there is really being done very well on the benches in most of our areas, quite honestly. And just as a quick recap in there are some things with fire-wise landscaping that are in there that if you live in that zone, you should consider. Closed eaves, proper building materials for your roof, fire resistant, and and it just so happens that the hardy plank, like the planking that people are typically using for their siding now, is very fire resistant. It's part of that class 3 fire resistive building property. So really, I think we're doing well, but it is that thing that's required. And what this does by this adoption, it keeps us compliant with the CWS program, which is the Cooperative Wildfire System. That's kind of our fire insurance in the event that a fire starts in our city boundary and spreads into the wildland. That protects us from the cost of those fires, that the state, by using state and federal resources. So hopefully that kind of captures just a quick review of kind of this complex thing. Here again, we don't have the piece from the state yet, but we'll be in compliance with what they've asked us to do. And currently our entire coverage zone, everything should be done by the end of the year. So.
Any other questions?
Sure, I have I think I asked this 2 weeks ago to Robert Lacroix. I feel like, and I just want to double check here, but I feel like when I look at this, as you said, there's no buildings in our city within the zone. And it's probably my naive understanding of wildland fires, but it feels like we're doing the minimum required by the state, which obviously we don't want to go too far overboard. But I'm assuming you and your staff are completely comfortable with where that line is drawn. We don't feel like it should be further into city boundaries at all.
Yeah, well, no, and it's a totally fair question, and we've debated it a whole bunch at all of the cities within our coverage area. But I think what we've come to realize is, well, could it be moved? It certainly could be. And I think once we see their data, there'll be time to make that adjustment.
Okay.
And I think once we see it, because they are supposed to be using a more sophisticated and more accurate mapping tool. Now, the URAP tool that we've used that's provided by the Division of Natural Resources, the DNR, it's an online tool. We can get on there. You can look at your structure, exposure score, they call it, that you can look at things of ember carrying loads. I mean, some scientific information, how close homes are built. And I really think, Councilman, I really think that it is probably the right approach to say, look, they're looking at a 7. That's the rumor we've heard. They're looking at that line as it being the line. It's probably a very safe estimate for us to say, look, without seeing that map, this is a good safe line for us. And if it looks different when it comes out, I think we have to review it and say, hey, this makes sense to adjust this boundary. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's fair.
I appreciate that. I think it's, because I hear exactly what you're saying, but until we see that, we could be right on the money with that thing right now. So,
thank you, Chief.
Yeah, thank you.
That's the only question I have.
Okay, this is a public hearing. If any member of the public wishes to speak to this, please come forward, state your name, where you live, and take 3 minutes or less. Seeing no one?
Oh.
Whoops.
You have one.
Gail, I missed you.
Gail Yost, Logan. I live on First East in one of the oldest houses in the neighborhood. Are these houses in more jeopardy if there's a fire that moves down from the mountains?
On First East? If you're living on First East,
But I
you
know
say?
some people who live on Third East or closer to the eastern part that have old houses.
Yeah, yeah.
And it is part of the joy of living in these old houses. Believe it or not, I don't care what you think. It's a joy to be in an old house. And, but it's also, if we were to have a fire, it would be an entrapment almost. Because, you know, I have grandson living upstairs temporarily, those kinds of things. And I don't want to put anybody in jeopardy, but I do love the spirit of our house. It was originally built by a window maker. And that's when we first bought the house, there were no front windows. There were hardly any windows on the bottom floor that could actually be opened. We've changed that. So people have a chance to get out if they need to, including upstairs. But is that a problem? Because I know Adams has a lot of older houses too. More of the older housing is on the east side of Logan.
Sure, yeah. Well, I would say as it pertains to the wildland-urban interface, I would say First East is a very low risk. Now, if you look at the Paradise Fire in California and Maui, those people also would have probably been considered a very low risk in some of those areas. One thing we don't have control of is very, very rare and unique winds, okay? We don't typically have a lot of those. Those were wind-driven events that are very rare and very uncommon in our part of the world. However, we don't have the crystal ball. I would say it's probably in the low-risk area, probably a 2 or a 3 compared to a 7 of what we're talking about today. Very low. Not impossible with wind, but I would say very, very low.
We do
right
have
there.
people who go camping up
Sure.
on the eastern
Yeah.
area. And that scares me a lot because they're not always careful. Anyway, that's my last comment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gail. Anyone else? Seeing no one, I'll bring it back to the council.
I would move acceptance of ordinance 25-21.
I will second that.
Second that.
Oh, sorry.
He said it faster.
And louder.
It's been moved and seconded. I assume there are no more concerns. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll move now to ordinance 25-22. We'll turn the time over to Aaron.
Thank you, Chair. We workshopped this ordinance a few weeks back. This is an ordinance that changes our bar and tavern license rules pertaining to the number of licenses available. I have just a quick summary here. I don't know if there's any particular questions following up on the workshop, but this just is a summary of the amendment. So it's two-pronged. The first part amends that license pool by combining them into one pool. So currently, bar and tavern both have kind of their own license pools set by population, 1 to 10,000 residents. So we have 5 bar licenses essentially available and 5 tavern licenses available. The proposal puts those into one pool at 1 license per 6,000 population. So the new combined pool would be 9 total licenses at the current population, with 6 issued, 1 application, and it would essentially create 2 additional available bar or tavern licenses. The second part of the amendment adds a new proximity requirement that establishes that a new bar or tavern can be within 350 feet of an existing bar or tavern. That wouldn't affect the existing licenses. They can continue to operate and hold their license. So that's a quick summary. Happy to go into more details if you'd like me to.
Anybody have any questions?
So I'm spatially challenged, 350 feet. Is that like a quarter of a block?
Half a block.
Half a block, okay, thank you.
We currently have a limitation on how close they can be to each other.
No, there's only state limitations, and it's not a bar, tavern to bar and tavern. It's just community location to bar or tavern.
A church, a school, a
Yep.
park.
Library.
And so with making new licenses available, the idea here was to not create a cluster of bars and taverns, but to spread them out along the street face.
Just to clarify, the 1 tavern license that we have would become a bar?
Nope, it just continued being a tavern.
They could apply, I guess, to...
No, the 350 would
there's
not allow them to do that.
There are some issues with changing that license at the state level too, because they would have to meet the setback requirements, and they're well within the distance from the tabernacle.
Anything else?
And how does this potential change in the number of possible licenses compared to other areas like?
Other jurisdictions?
you
I
gave us
do have a slide on that in case you're curious. Currently, and this was, I shouldn't say currently, as of July 2025, so a few months back, there were 369 bar licenses, and here I'm broken down by our nearest peers in county data. So we have 5 bar licenses in Cache County. Box Elder, with much less population, has 5. Tooele, less population, has 9. Washington, a little bit more than us, has 11. And Weber, with a 276,000 population, has 32. So that was some near peers that I pulled some data for. And taverns, it's not even worth reporting. There's only 8 issued in the state. So
all 5 of those bar licenses are within Logan City limits.
Correct.
I
that poor
remember
boring
you saying
bar that
too
used to
that
be in Smithfield, they tore it.
Washington County actually just eliminated completely any restriction.
St. George City.
St. George City, yeah.
Just removed their population restrictions this year, yes. And essentially made it a zoning question.
Do they still have the proximity restriction?
I'm not aware of them having a proximity restriction. They just have a zoning use table like we have. Ones that I looked at that used a proximity or something equivalent was Ogden and Salt Lake City.
So this would, at this current time, open us up for 2 more bar tavern licenses? Is that
Yeah,
correct?
assuming the last application was completed and issued, the pending application. that we
There would
received.
be 2 more plus the application, so essentially 3 currently, but with 1 with an application in.
1 application, 2 additional.
Okay. No more questions for me at this time.
Okay, this is a public hearing. If there are any members of the public who wish to speak to this, please come forward. State your name, where you live, and take 3 minutes or less.
Good evening. My name is Ben Keaty, owner of the Hobble Dog Cidery. I live in Paradise, but have a business in Logan. And I'd love to get a bar license, and this amendment would help that happen. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi.
Tara Steyerman, land steward at Steep Mountain Farm in Wellsville. But I shop and spend much of my time in Logan and support this and support Hobble Dog Cidery getting a bar license. That they support local business, they're locally owned. I mean, I think most of the bars that want to come to Logan are locally owned and tend to support other small local businesses, such as mine, a small farm. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Hi, I'm Linda Johnson, and I live in Logan, and I think that raising the amount and lessening the amount per population, those are good changes. I don't know that I agree, though, with the 350 feet within an existing bar or tavern. I don't plan on buying or building a bar or tavern, but if I were to buy a property, I don't know that that's something I would have checked for, and I'd look just for an area that I feel, I don't know, vibes with whatever kind of restaurant or whatever you're wanting to do. And I feel like Logan is so small, and the areas where people are likely to choose, near Main Street and things like that, this would severely, severely limit people in their ability to purchase and use a property the way they want. It would, I think, add unnecessary complexity and create a much more difficult time. I don't think that there's a real problem with the idea that this is going to make the town go to pot if we have a half dozen taverns within a few miles of each other. So other than that, I think that the population is growing, and this is a good change.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, my name's Carrie Bentley. I live in Mendon, but I spend a lot of time in Logan. And I am in support of the change, and I also appreciate the choice and the ability to congregate and have community in these places like this. And there aren't that many, as you can tell, for our population. So I think it's really smart, and I really appreciate Logan being open to that kind of a thing, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
My name is Chris Bentley from Mendon, Utah. I'm in support of the amendment, and I think that it's going to be a good thing to have more opportunities and to have, yeah, it's a good, sorry, I'm nervous.
Okay.
It's going to give an opportunity for more community and more local agriculture and more tourism, and it would be a good thing for the city.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? Seeing no one, we'll bring it back to the council for a decision.
A question, was there another different proximity restriction considered as you were looking into this?
No, we didn't model other ones. We only modeled this one to kind of look at its impact. It was kind of reasonable to try to, create a little bit of distance and separation, but be reasonable that you could have a couple on the street face and have it still work out. So it's just the middle ground.
Are we able to ask a question?
And I just for reference, this is that proximity study. Let me go zoom into the downtown one. That's probably more helpful. But just a reminder, the blue areas here are the state buffers from community locations. And then the red dots and the red buffers would be the 350-foot setback from existing bars.
So we're not creating a bigger barrier than the state's already created, are we?
They've created a big barrier. But for example, and I only use this for example, if we're looking at between 100 South and 200 South on Main Street where the cash bar is located, you could essentially locate another one somewhere along that block. So that's where we were trying to look at a reasonable
Except they're right
position.
in the middle of the block.
Except for right next to it, yeah.
And they are only permitted in town center 1 and 2 mixed-use commercial services and industrial park, is that correct?
Correct. And the commercial services and industrial park has to be in conjunction with a manufacturing location.
Can you go back to the city-wide map?
So the blue bubbles are where they could not be, no matter what, because of state restrictions.
And it is a planning only buffer. This isn't an exact pedestrian distance that would have required a more intense study.
Is
This
that-
is as
that's
close
because-
estimate as
yeah.
we felt this was a pretty reasonable estimate for.
So the reason those red ones are within the blue, those were grandfathered in because they were put in place prior to the state changing some of their code.
Correct.
So that's why there's reds within the blue, it's because of that grandfathering.
Right. They used to allow for a variance process, which they eliminated a little while ago, a bit ago.
So technically,
Before my time.
technically, the areas that most likely would have additional bars are just that small pink area, right?
Correct.
Commercial services needs one in conjunction or just?
With a manufacturer.
With the manufacturer.
Yep.
Okay. So really it's just your downtown area.
And it's just that little pink part.
Little pink part, where
Right.
there's no blue.
Right. Well, north and south pink part.
So do you want to have them more than 350 feet away in the little tiny pink part? That would be the issue.
Are you talking about amending the code to remove the 350 feet?
No, I'm just asking a question.
Just asking questions.
I'm comfortable, I think, actually with that 350. I think there's good reason to keep establishments a little bit apart from one another.
Okay. If anybody wants to move the question, they're more than happy to.
I would move adoption of ordinance 25-22.
Is there a second?
I'm not seconding this. So, to the gentleman in the blue, when you say you're nervous, sometimes I'm nervous too. So, speaking my mind, I don't love the ordinance as a whole, which I know is probably an unpopular opinion in this room right now. I feel like I've wrestled with this back and forth over the last couple of weeks since we workshopped it. And I feel like we sit up here on city council and we make decisions and we change ordinances and we change zones. And sometimes we cut down trees and bulldoze roads. And we do things that affect the community. And sometimes we do things that affect the community for the good. And sometimes there's negative impacts for a short time and then it's better. And we always hope that it's not long-term negative impacts. And I guess I've just wrestled with this one of, does the good of allowing more alcohol bar and tavern licenses in Logan outweigh the negative impacts that alcohol has on our community? And I'm not saying all alcohol is negative. I know that many people consume it totally safely and totally fine, but I also know that it does cause issues with DUIs and domestic disputes and criminal activity. And I've talked briefly with some police officers inside and outside our city of their experiences with what they see with alcohol and whether they feel like it's a net positive or a net negative. And obviously they're seeing, the worst situations of the worst situations. But without rambling too long, I have wrestled with whether this is a net positive or a net negative for our community over the last 2 weeks. And I don't know if I've come to a solid conclusion. It's hard to find data on job increase and community growth and third spaces and business ownership versus DUIs and drunk driving and accidents. And there are some criminal activities associated with alcohol. And I don't know if I've found, it's hard to find that data on whether, but some decisions we make and I go, wow, this really sucks right now. And in the long run, it's going to be better. And I don't know if I've looked at this one and said, long term for Logan, I feel like this is something I'm comfortable with. I will shut my mouth now.
I know when we adjusted this ordinance a few years ago to allow for additional bar licenses, I had quite a few conversations with our police department. They said their biggest concern is that people who drink at home are the bigger issue than bars, because at least at a bar,
there's
if
someone
they're
there
following
helping
the rules,
control.
they are controlling the amount of alcohol that's given.
And I had that same
someone,
discussion
and if
with
they're
them.
overserved, they stop. So
Hopefully.
from the perspective of that conversation I had, again, it was a couple of years ago, but it was that having people be in a public place is actually, those are not usually the DUIs. It's the people who are drinking unrestricted in a home or at a party or at a friend's house. So
Or at the liquor store.
Or in the liquor store. And outside the liquor store.
And in defense of that, and I can pull up an email here that the police department shared some data on calls with me today. They said that in the last year, so while they're looking December 1st to the prior December 1st, they ran 21,749 calls, total service calls, which I always go, holy crap, that's a lot of calls in 1 year. And in defense of that, they said that they only had 11 incidences at the cash, within the vicinity of the cash bar or the White Owl of 27,000 calls. So in defense of that, you make a valid point.
There are a lot that are, as you said, alcohol related, but again,
are not
directly tied
to an
particular
establishment.
establishment.
And you are correct. I still just wrestle with.
Yeah, it's the establishment that calls and says, we have a patron who has a problem, or
Right.
it's,
Yeah, which they did mention that sometimes it's the establishment calling saying there's an issue that,
so.
They are helping
Because
oversee it. And I
they have
understand
some
that.
liability.
too.
Right, I understand that.
And they have liability too, and so they, are usually very careful to monitor that, so.
So there
You are not
was,
wrong.
so there was
Still wrestle
a
with it.
motion to approve. Is there a second?
Oh, I wanted to mention that kind of on the other side of the debate, I've had friends and people that I know that have commented is like, there's so limited options.
Not much nightlife.
For nightlife, for choices, as somebody mentioned, for people to kind of do some of the things that they may be able to do in other parts of even of our state, not too far from here. And while maybe we're not tasked with creating those options, I do feel, to your point, to be careful on what, if we're restricting too much, what those options are. I don't have the habit of enjoying alcoholic beverages, but I know plenty of people who do it safely, and I would never assume they would necessarily make bad decisions based on the increased number of licenses that we have in our city for these establishments.
And I think the vast majority of people consume alcohol wisely and carefully.
Yep.
I hope I don't feel like I was implying that everyone turns into raging drunks.
Well, and I also echo what Amy said, that I would think that it's probably more problematic for those that choose to do it at home without any restriction and so on. But I really don't know that much about the topic myself, so I will stop talking about that. But I will second the motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Do we have any other conversation?
No, Madam
Hearing
Chair.
none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Nay? Anybody opposed?
I'm torn between abstaining and nay, but I'll throw a nay on.
Okay. Motion carries. We'll move now to our fourth public hearing of the evening. It is a budget adjustment. Russ, do you want to run through it? Or Rich, do you want to run through it real quick? Russ, sorry.
Relatively straightforward, relatively easy. Request to appropriate $31,528 for police overtime shifts. We do these fairly regularly throughout the year. In fact, we have one here that a workshop item.
Okay. This is a public hearing. If there are any members of the public who wish to speak to this, please come forward, state your name, where you live, and take 3 minutes or less. Seeing no one, I'll bring it back to the council for a decision.
Move approval of Resolution 25-47.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll move now to our workshop items. Our first workshop item is from Craig about withdrawing from the Logan Cache Airport Authority organization.
All right. So just a brief history. In 1992, the Logan Cache Airport Authority was created by interlocal agreement. The two entities that are part of the Logan Cache Airport Authority were Logan City and Cache County. So those are the only two entities that are part of this airport authority. A short time ago, Cache County approached Logan City asking if the city would be amenable to withdrawing as a member of the Logan Cache Airport Authority. Some of the possible benefits to Logan City from withdrawing from the airport authority, there would be no more additional annual payments of $100,000 a year to the airport authority. A couple of years ago, a consultant did a thorough report on the airport and some of the investment that needs to be made in the airport, including significant capital investment. The city would not have to participate in any future capital investment. Another important benefit to the city would be eliminating liability exposure that is certainly there. It also helps avoid any argument that there's double taxation paying for the airport authority. We've drawn up a withdrawal agreement, come to terms with Cache County. The city would continue to have board representation. There's a reverter clause in this agreement that if the property is not used primarily for an airport, half of the assets would return to Logan City. It clarifies that there's no continuing financial obligations to the city, and the county would indemnify the city for any claims related to the airport. So overall, I think it would be a very good thing. The bylaws of the airport authority require the city council to approve the withdrawal and pass the resolution.
Does the county council also have to approve the withdrawal?
Yeah, they would also approve a 6-month notice period, which the county is willing to waive at this time.
Excuse me. And we think the county was considering it at their meeting tonight. So again, they meet the same.
Are they voting on tonight? Or just working?
That's our understanding, but we will see what happens.
So do we have any idea what the impetus for this was?
Again, it's something the city has been interested in for some time. I mean, as we've watched sort of the FAA master plan, the master plan that is approved by the FAA, I mean, there's some significant capital expenses going forward, in a few years, and we've always been concerned about that. We've had discussions in the past with other county executives, and they haven't been interested in changing the arrangement. Again, there was a consultant that made the recommendation, just saying it's difficult to have two entities doing the governance. And, you know, the county in practicality has managed the finances and, you know, oversees the staff. Again, it's something that's made sense to us for a while, and it just, again, county is interested in moving forward with that. And again, if we hope the airport does well, it will benefit the whole county. Logan citizens, as Craig mentioned, won't be double taxed for that. Again, we'll still have the airport. And
so in the past, we have done all of the approvals for hangar design because the property, I mean, that was, we owned the property?
well, no, we do not own the property. The airport authority owns the property. Both the city and the county originally, when it was created, put property in, but it, you know, title was given to the airport authority. Just because it's located in Logan City, it has, you know, things have come through our planning commission for approval. And again, they, you know, they hook onto our sewer and water and so on. And so we anticipate that would continue to remain the same, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I mean, they've just become a customer of the city, and whatever services we provide,
But we would have
Zoning authority still?
No, we would not have zoning authority anymore, right?
Well, we could change the airport zone to have,
we'd still be, they're still located in Logan City, so.
yeah, so we'd still have zoning.
Zoning authority, but
So you could still
But
have
not
design
management
standards.
authority.
not management, other than our two.
But
But you
we
could
would
still have
not,
design standards
we would not,
for the zone.
I don't know whether we could or not.
Russ over there is nodding yes, we can still set design standards for the airport zone. Yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there'll be a zone. They are a zone.
And they're still within city boundaries.
So we're not.
And
We
so
can,
they-
we can still tell them to try to look
And
pretty.
so the overlay that, sorry, Russ, you want to come up to the microphone, please? So the overlay that is beyond the airport boundaries into Logan City will stay that way, correct?
Yeah, so those have to do with flight patterns and approaching, and they have some restrictions for heights.
Right.
Those are outside of the airport, they're in different zones, but they still apply.
Okay.
Anything that's inside the Logan City boundary would still be assigned a zone and have some level of review.
So the whole airport is still within Logan City?
Actually, no, when they expanded the runway, that portion is in unincorporated county still. But the majority of the airport is within Logan City.
Okay.
So the process would be the same as far as zoning and approval of designs and things like that as it has been. It's just Logan City is no longer a member of
Yeah.
Logan County Airport Authority.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to clarify that so that everybody.
That's a good point.
So if the county decides to not withdraw, then it's kind of a moot point, or would we still withdraw if?
Well, if their council does not give approval to waive the 6-month period, then we could still notice them, but we would have to wait 6 months.
Okay. So they're voting on the waiver of the 6 months.
If we approve this, it's effective essentially immediately upon approval, assuming they waive.
Approval of the resolution.
Which, again, comes back in 2 weeks.
Right.
Again, the county has a process where sometimes they waive their rules and they adopt something the night it's introduced. I don't know what their procedure is, but we typically go to 2 meetings. So it will come back to you in 2 weeks for a decision.
And it will be a public hearing.
No, it actually won't be a public hearing. So that's a good point. If people do have concerns or comments for the city council, because my understanding is because it's an administrative matter, it does not require a public hearing. So you, again, if you have comments, email your city council members and make your comments that way.
Absolutely.
Before they vote.
Please do.
Okay, so just to
Would it be our
clarify, we
choice
still have seats on the board, and if it ever is sold,
We
the
could, though.
version is that
Yeah, that's what I meant.
50% comes back to Logan. Okay.
Not when it's an administrative decision. We're just passing a resolution. We're not passing an ordinance.
Right. It's to allow us to withdraw because, again, both councils approved the interlocal agreement initially.
So, Craig, why is it that we have to have a public hearing on a resolution like Resolution 2547, but we don't have to on this one?
A resolution still is a legislative decision.
Right.
State code requires public hearings for things like land use, budget adjustments, other monetary things, the sale of a significant parcel of property. This sort of thing, which we're not selling any property, we're just withdrawing from this agency or this entity, would not require a public hearing.
So require, but we could choose to have one.
You can choose to have one, yes.
So if you want to choose differently, let us know so Teresa can change the agenda for 2 weeks to add a public hearing.
I mean, you guys are sick of me saying this, but I'm always in favor of public hearings. So I'm happy to have one if there are other people who would like to have one in 2 weeks. I think it is worth giving people the opportunity to share their opinion because sometimes it is the easiest way for some people to communicate with us. But
Do we need to decide right now or?
No. You don't need to decide right now. Yeah.
okay, just before we sorry, before we move on. I don't feel like I've ever had a clear answer, and maybe there still isn't one quite yet, but I feel like I don't understand why we're waiting the 6 months and trying to do this quicker than the bylaws typically lay out.
The 6-month period is for time if there's complications or if there's disagreement on why there should be why a party should or should not leave. Right now, the county council and the city are on the same page, and I feel like this 6 months.
And this has gone to the Airport Authority Board.
The chair is aware of it and in support.
Yeah.
The rest of the airport.
It will be on the agenda. Well, actually, it isn't on the agenda for Thursday because I just looked at the agenda, but I was going to bring it
So
up
will
for
they have a
discussion.
meeting before the 16th where it is on their agenda to discuss?
We will be discussing it Thursday because Jeannie and I will bring it up.
Okay. Because I would definitely like to hear what the rest of the Airport Authority Board has to say on this.
Well, the airport
Rich is
is-
smiling. I know who the Airport Authority Board is.
Okay.
I know that you and Mayor Daines and 2 council members and the county executive and other people that I won't name offhand. But I understand that it's half of the Airport Authority Board is Logan City, the county. I'm just curious if there's other. As I've shared with Rich, I don't know if I've shared this with you. Rich and I had a long discussion about this the other day, and he loved me circling around this one over and over again. I just have my concerns about it and my concerns of whether, how do I say this nicely in a public meeting? I have my concerns of whether the county is in the best position right now to run the airport without Logan City. But that's, I'll leave it at that for now.
And from my perspective, the big issue here has always been the double taxation. Logan residents are double taxed anytime we participate equally with the county because we are part of the county, and we all know that. It's something that has bothered me for a very long time, and that is one of the reasons the county brought it up, because there is double taxation there. I also don't think that there'll be any difference in benefit to the Logan citizens as long as the airport is run as well as it can be run.
Would it be possible to rework the agreement so there is not a double taxation to it?
No. Anytime Logan City and Cache County participate, there's going to be double taxation.
The only way you could do it is if you created an interlocal agreement that didn't require any financial contributions. But then you don't have an airport authority board because they don't have a budget.
That is the
Who needs a budget?
So,
Well, I appreciate the potential financial risk for our citizens if we move forward with this, because I know there's talk of building a tower, there's talks that the one runway needs to be upgraded and replaced.
there's been a lot of discussion at Airport Authority Board. There are a lot of people who want to build hangars and create more of a corporate environment where they rent them out. And And it's a lot of change, and there are a lot of things that the consultant brought up that were both revealing and not revealing. It was like it put down on paper what we knew was going on. And so I think that if the airport is to function as it should function in a community our size, it needs to be run by a group of people that are invested in the airport itself, not a bunch of people. I mean, we have some who are invested that are community members, but mostly it's...
You're saying people who are invested in the airport, not necessarily elected officials from the city and county.
Correct.
My understanding, though, is that us withdrawing from this, we would still retain our 2 seats on the Airport Authority Board.
We have 4 right now.
2 voting.
3.
3. and
John
then-
is at large, so that's he's not a Logan City appointment.
And then
That's
Kirk
John.
is a non-voting.
Correct.
Correct, yeah. But we would still have,
The withdrawal agreement provides for 2 seats for Logan City. Yeah.
okay.
So it could be...
So we would
2
likely
individuals.
lose 1.
Yes.
Okay. So it's not going to likely drastically change the makeup of the board to...
Well, it depends, because it would be my assumption that the mayor could appoint, with council approval, anybody on the board. It wouldn't be
Which we
a mayor or a council
do now.
person.
Couldn't we? Or does it have to be a mayor and a council person the way it is now?
No, it can be the appointee of
Yeah.
the mayor. It does
Yeah.
not have to
So we could do that
someone
now.
elected.
I understand the double taxation issue. Things I'm wondering whether I should say out loud in public meetings. $150,000 a year is a chunk of change, but it's not a life-changing amount of money in a city budget. And I just wonder, Rich is cringing at me saying that. I'm not trying to be flippant about 6 figures. My wife would also cringe. But long-term, I just wonder about. I just have my insecurities about it.
Again,
I'm
you
not
have to
drastically-
remember what's coming down the road as far as investments. If they really follow the master plan, again, the FAA will fund a lot of these bigger projects, but there's still a hefty match.
Yeah.
So,
But is the
What
county
is-
the best position to?
What is an estimate of what the city would have to contribute if we stayed in for some of these, like in the next 10 years?
Ooh, millions.
yeah, it was millions.
It is millions.
I mean, we could go to the master plan and look at that exact number. I don't know a number off the top of my head,
3,
but
4, 5 million?
Could be.
I
Chump change.
think we were
And if you
What federal funds.
total, which would then be divided between the entities, but
Yeah.
It depends upon whether we have because the FAA is no longer funding taxi lanes, and in order to do airport expansion, you have to provide a taxi lane, and they're not inexpensive. And that goes above and beyond that 100,000 that you contribute, because you have to participate in the employees and fire and electrical, I mean, that 100,000 pays for the operations of the airport as well as any money that is needed for any kind of expansion.
And again, after there being not much investment in the airport for a long time, I think there is significant interest in that. And I think perhaps the county's thinking this may facilitate that, streamline it, when again, there's just one entity making the decision there. And it does make sense from a governance perspective.
And you're talking about private investment.
Right, private investment.
Wouldn't the Airport Authority Board still be making the majority of those decisions, though? As the entity making those decisions, obviously funded by the county, but the decisions would be made by the, correct?
Doesn't the agreement state they have to go back to both entities?
Yeah, I have to look at the agreement.
The current one?
Seems like they needed approval for both entities, even though sometimes that happened and sometimes.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I've approved anything in 2 years for the airport. I don't know if I have.
We're technically supposed to review the budget, but we haven't exactly, we've done that through the council and the mayor who've been on that, but
And for the past, I mean, some years back, it was before my time, both the city and the county put in a big chunk, not just the annual kind of stipend, but that would be used to match these FAA grants. And there was kind of a good reserve fund, but that is drawing to a close. I mean, we've used a lot of that. So again, within the next few years, it will be time to ante up if we continue to remain in that.
And if the county doesn't fund it, can't fund it for whatever reason, in 6 years, 10 years, and there's insufficient funds at the county level to fund the airport, and we are no longer funding the airport, what happens to the airport?
The airport goes belly up, there's no longer an airport, half the assets with the local
So,
city.
but like we close the airport and we have half the assets and they have half
The
the
airport authority would make those decisions.
Sure.
But again, the county has, I mean, it benefits the whole county.
Sure.
And, you know, they have.
And the university.
Yeah.
And the university, right.
University
And again,
gets a ton
I
of
think
benefit.
that, you know, the county's also would like to work with the university to get some sort of agreement in place about, you know, how they are helping support the airport. Which again, it just streamlines the governance, is my view.
The other reason why I believe the county is in the best position to run this entity, for all the reasons that we've already stated, but also because they're the only entity that can really receive or benefit from the full impact of the airport. Obviously, the airport could, in theory, benefit agencies or other entities outside our county, but certainly it's entities, people, taxpayers, others outside of Logan. In other words, if Logan were running it, yeah, we could invest taxpayer dollars into it, but we couldn't realize the economic benefit of that investment. That investment those benefits would spill over to other places where some of these companies are located, like Providence and Nibley and North Logan and Smithfield, whereas the county can realize those benefits.
Does the county have the ability to tax
Yes.
to support the airport?
Well, they can do it for any purpose.
They just put in their general tax.
Yes, yeah, it could be. I don't know that there's a specific airport tax levy. I don't know.
Just, I think it's
But nonetheless, they get supported with tax dollars from the entire county.
Which is
And
how
then
we're
could-
currently supporting it. It's just with,
What's that?
where does our
Well,
funding of it and their funding, it's just general tax dollars.
General
Yeah.
tax dollars.
but we only get a small portion of the total tax dollars that are available that we then turn around and give back to the airport. Is that correct?
One more time.
So the smaller portion that we receive of county property taxes, we're then taking a piece of that and giving it back to the airport.
In theory, sure. Yeah, general tax dollars from Logan that we are entitled to, we're investing in the airport. And the problem that I have with that is that benefit extends beyond Logan's boundaries. And not that we only do things that benefit Logan, we do it for the greater community many times. But the problem that I see with that is significant investments in the future. The county can reap those benefits in the form of sales tax, property tax, other charges and fees that they levy directly through the airport and indirectly. Logan can't. So in addition to the double taxation, there's the fact that we're putting money in and those benefits are potentially spilling to other communities, which is great. But nonetheless, is that what we should be doing with our very limited tax dollars? Certainly my recommendation is no. We should not. We should allow the county to run it. It has the best opportunity to make it successful. We should wish them well. We should put two people on the board who are knowledgeable and enthusiastic about it, and that's how we should support it. And then we should be just like every other community in this county, and we should say, we're part of Cache County, we're part of the Cache County Airport. 42 cents.
I appreciate it. Sorry, I'll stop.
That's what a workshop is for.
That is,
That's what a workshop is for.
Yep.
Rich put up with me doing this for an hour though. And finished with me going, sometimes, and you guys probably all understand this, you have to make a decision and you wrestle with, for some reason, it doesn't sit well in my gut. And I don't know if I can totally put a finger on why. And what I asked Rich is, I said, do you listen to the experts who say do this, or do you listen to your gut feeling that has concerns about it?
What did I say?
Well, do you want me to say? Rich said, listen to your gut. And I said, you really want all your elected officials just listening to their gut, not the experts? That was where that conversation ended. I probably should listen to the experts, but I still just have unease. But I'm ready to move on.
You've got 2 weeks to ease.
I'll go eat a lot of fudge and eggnog and see if my gut feels better in 2 weeks.
You can ease one way or the other. Yeah, we don't need you to eat a lot of fudge.
I need to eat a lot of fudge.
Or drink a lot of eggnog.
Eggnog's my favorite. We can move on. I'm happy to move on unless anyone else wants to.
All right. Amy, would you like to come up and talk about a rezone?
Yes. For breakfast all in December. I don't know if that's a good way to start my day.
Okay.
So I just started you. Okay. Used to planning commission where they introduce it. Okay, so we have ordinance 2523, which is YABC rezone. The planning commission on November 13th forwarded a recommendation of denial for the rezone of a 2.5 acre property located at 920 North, 200 West, to rezone from NR12 to commercial. It is known as the Cubex building to most people. All right, so here's the building. You can see that there's a church here. There's the Eagles Club here with a realty a little south of that, Parks and Rec here, and then multifamily housing here, and also here to the west, and then south is NR6. So the zone is MR12 currently, NR6. Right below it is community commercial rec, and then half a block away is commercial. You've got Main Street just right here, basically. The building was first constructed, well, Cluck calls it MR, but we don't really spot things like that. So this is what they are proposing or asking. The building was first constructed in the 1960s, and then an addition was made in '83. Logan City adopted zoning ordinances in the 1950s. And since that time, it's been zoned residential with some low-intensity commercial the whole time. And then in 1997, a CUP was approved to legally establish commercial uses since it had been used commercially the whole time. So our applicant...
When it became the Sports Academy.
Yeah, and it had a daycare there, a sports academy, a spa. Yeah.
When?
It was the Sports Academy in the 90s, late 90s.
So the applicant bought the property and would like an 8-foot fence, 8-foot tall fence, which is only allowed in a commercial zone, not a residential zone. So they are asking to rezone it commercial.
Just for the fence?
Just for the fence?
Right now, and then in an email it said to make it compliant, so it's not
they didn't want
legally existing non-conforming. They would like to make it conforming, and then eventually maybe some expansion.
So it wasn't purchased recently, it's just that
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was purchased in this year, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a new owner, so they don't
And
want
they do have a building permit to turn it into offices. The conditional use permit that went with the land is still valid for their uses.
Can you build an 8-foot fence in a community commercial zone?
Yes, because it's commercial. Yeah.
In a community commercial zone.
which is what staff recommended.
Which is what's south of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the applicant wasn't at planning commission, so we didn't ask if they wanted community. The planning commission didn't ask if they wanted community commercial, so commercial was just denied, and community commercial was never really, like that part wasn't discussed because the applicant wasn't there to see if they actually were commercial or nothing, or.
Can you remind me just a couple major differences between community commercial and commercial?
So community commercial is small, low intensity, smaller impact. Most of the uses that are permitted are conditionally permitted. So like commercial has 45 permitted uses, whereas the community commercial has a lot less, like 23, but they're mostly conditioned. I think
I'm assuming those
agriculture is
are-
the only one that's like outright permitted.
And most of those community commercial that are permitted are office space, daycares.
Those are even still.
Oh, even those are conditional.
Conditional, yeah. Let's see, so a preschool in the community commercial, a small preschool under 16 clients is permitted, short-term rental, obviously homes, or like single family, multifamily.
I found it in your document.
You included it.
Other than that, just agricultural, yeah. Everything else is either not permitted or conditionally permitted.
So if they wanted to make it a credit union, they'd have to come back because that's conditionally approved in a community commercial.
Yeah, so with community commercial, planning commission has a lot more control over what gets put there. If it's commercial, then, and they were to sell the property in 10, 20 years, then sales and service, auto sales and service could go in, or the gas station, or.
And I wasn't on the planning commission like Jeannie. Conditional use permit, if they meet the conditions, then they're granted the permit. We can't deny it just because we don't like it, assuming they meet
we
the
can
conditions.
just put conditions on it. It is a permitted use, we just can put
We can
conditions
put
on it.
conditions on it. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I really think we should do a 5-hour meeting again. It's been a few weeks. But no, I don't have any more questions. I'm sorry, Mayor.
So the FLUP also had this remaining in MR12?
Yeah, but staff, with the upcoming changes, staff was gonna change it since it's been like probably to something like community commercial, just because it's been used as a commercial purpose this whole time.
Okay.
So.
But you can't really, like, because the proponent wasn't there, you couldn't.
Negotiate it.
The planning
Right.
commission was interested in talking about that, but they had nobody to talk to.
Right. Well, with the rec there too, it seems to make sense to not make that commercial.
Right.
So.
Any other questions? Thanks, Amy.
Yep.
You're not on next. Russ is up next.
Russ wants me to heckle him now, huh?
Good evening,
thanks for hanging
council.
around.
No slides from me tonight.
What?
I know, that's not normal, but I only have one exhibit, and it's a new paragraph to the Land Development Code. It's in the packet, and it's for stormwater violation fees, and it simply updates our code to align with state code. And it's written in a way that if the state code changes, our code automatically follows suit. This portion of the code will be monitored and enforced by Lynn Mays, our Public Works employee back here, wearing the nice boots and the black jacket.
He looks super excited to take this on.
Planning Commission heard this request and recommended approval 6-0. And I am happy to answer any questions from the council tonight.
Is it likely that our state's going to change this frequently?
I wouldn't say frequently, but
they will.
Eventually.
Eventually. Okay. That's my only question.
Any other questions?
No.
Can we double the fines for polluting stormwater?
Thanks, Bryce.
Thank you.
Last but not least, Rich?
Some small adjustments. I'll handle the last one first, that's easiest. 11,565 for police overtime shifts, similar to what we just had. These come in periodically and we request to appropriate those. Now onto the bigger item. For many years, we've been discussing the current service center and how it has many, many issues, including roof issues and seismic issues and all kinds of other issues. For many years, we've tried to think about how we would renovate that building, and that was our first choice, to replace the roof and do some other things. Unfortunately, those all ended in the cost being greater than the benefit. And so many years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, we started looking at building a new building and how that might work out and where we might be able to build that. Instead, we're bringing forward a proposal to council to appropriate $39,265,437 of general capital reserves, which is everything we have. In addition to that, earlier this year, we noticed as part of the fiscal year 2026 budget, a request to appropriate $10 million of electric fund reserves, which would be used by the electric fund to buy our current public works facility. We would conversely buy their facility that they're currently operating. And then we would use all of these funds, a total of $49,265,437, in addition to the $7.5 million that we've already appropriated, for a total of $54 million. So we would bring all of those funds forward to build a new public works facility at the location of the current service center. Our public works department has lots of detail if you'd like to hear it. We've discussed this for many years. We believe this is a wise use of our resources because the facilities we're planning to replace are the ones that house almost our entire infrastructure that we have as a city if we were to respond to a major event, be that a storm, an earthquake, a water line burst, an electric line going down, all of these events that you can possibly imagine, the infrastructure we would use come from these facilities. This will facilitate, or this will set up the electric department for years to come in a building that meets their needs, houses all of their equipment, which is currently partially in their building or near their facility, but also in the existing service center. This would all be located in the new electric building, which is the current public works building. And the water and public works department, which are currently spread out to various facilities, would be located in one facility. We do not have a guaranteed maximum price, but council has appropriated funds, the 7.5 we talked about earlier, the funds that were adopted earlier, to have a design done, which is partially done. We showed that to council and others. But we do anticipate that the $54 million that's appropriated will, we hope, complete this facility.
And also then Parks, which is in the general fund, would also go into the former Light and Power building, and this would also build a new kind of storage area for Parks as well. So that really covers those 3 departments and sets them up for the next 50-plus years.
And if we had an earthquake right now, we couldn't get all the equipment out of this service center as
That's
it
what he's
stands.
talking about, the infrastructure.
That's the fear.
Yeah, all that equipment that we need to do our jobs.
So our first alternative was to replace the roof, fix the facility, do seismic upgrades. We applied for grants from the federal government, and even the federal government said that's a giant waste of money. And they never said that.
Federal government never said that.
So we believe this is the best approach. We know it's a lot of money, and it's really taking all the reserves we've had, but this is what we've been saving for the past 10-plus years. So we're asking council to appropriate those funds, and we'll move forward and accomplish this facility.
Any other questions?
So I have some questions for Paul.
Okay. Go first.
Yay, he waited.
We only have like a week and a half with you anyway, so I'm about ready to just brush you.
Thanks for making it worth it, Amy.
I know. I saw you and Sam over there looking so lonely and sad. So in conversations that we've had, I think it might be important at this workshop to just share some of the benefits that you see with where all the equipment is repaired and maintained, and I believe some of our equipment doesn't currently fit in the existing building as well, correct?
Correct. Rich talked about a lot of the details as far as benefits to the departments. Some of those details, the service center, that's where all of our mechanics for the general fund are. So they service all the equipment outside of the landfill for the whole city. Fire trucks, ambulances, police cars, public works, parks. Some of the most recent equipment we've purchased won't fit in that building unless we come in the east door, which is backwards, and back down the alley and get there. A lot of it does not fit into the area where we park, so they have to go into another building. Specifically, Light and Power has trucks at 3 locations right now for that reason. So when they send a crew out, they'll send crew out to different areas to get those vehicles. Public Works, we have equipment in 4 different locations for that some of those same reasons.
And staff in 3 different locations.
Staff's in 3 different locations.
And Parks and Rec doesn't have a home right now.
Kind of an orphan right now, but correct. I don't know if that's what you're looking for, or any other thoughts to that?
Well, I just think, like, I know I've had the opportunity to talk to you about what you see as the perceived benefits of efficiencies of scale and staffing, et cetera, but, you know, in a public hearing, I think our public doesn't necessarily, they hear $39 million and they don't understand that over time it's going to be a much more efficient and effective way to serve the city, which is our primary goal, right, is to serve the city.
On that note of efficiency, that's been our biggest goal of this, efficiency of crews, equipment, labor, all those things. We're actually building less square feet than we're demolishing. So will be an overall smaller footprint than we have because we're able to gain such efficiencies with newer buildings and ways of doing it.
And you'll be able to house most of the buildings within a structure.
Vehicles within a structure.
Vehicle, like the snow plows and stuff like that, so that when it's time for them to go to work, they are not out in the cold.
Correct.
And maybe you want to,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, share the information from the mechanics about how vehicles are impacted if they are stored outside in the weather.
So yeah, two notes on that. If you recall, Sandy City, 8 years ago, they had a fire. One of their vehicles caught fire and they lost their entire snowplow fleet overnight. After that, they were going to rebuild, and they actually did a study on storing vehicles outside, had a consultant help them with it. And it was really interesting to see the years of life and maintenance cost on a vehicle versus stored outside versus inside. Specifically those that haul salt, spread salt, have antifreeze and hydraulic fluid, those things, rubber hoses that are in the sun. So that was one of the biggest resources we used. But then talking to our own fleet manager and mechanics, it's hard to build a building where you currently have a building and not become homeless for a time. As I talked to Mike Beckstead, our fleet manager, he was very concerned about putting that equipment out for one winter versus a lifetime. And he went through the maintenance cost that he projected and thought it would be about 4 to 5 times the current annual maintenance cost that we spend in 1 year with 1 year of storing equipment outside, if that made sense. I said that kind of.
I mean, this is really related, but I won't even park my $6,000 Subaru outside over the winter. So I understand you not want to park your multi-million-dollar snowplows and back trucks outside.
And we do have some equipment that's stored in the service center currently. Yeah. Our pickup trucks for inspectors, things like that, that'll probably be now in just a covered parking versus an indoor parking. We're looking at that as well to increase the efficiency.
Well, I know that the CBTD, Connect, excuse me, keep changing their name.
Logan Transit
Yeah, that was one of the biggest reasons why they built a new building, was because they could house the buses inside, and it's much more efficient for them, you know, in the mornings, and it's much more efficient in terms of less maintenance, and there's less wear and tear on the buses just because they're not outside.
Yeah.
So it's a big price tag, but it's, sometimes we have to do big price tags in order to gain efficiency and
True.
do what we need to do.
Would it be possible to have some of the visuals to be presented in 2 weeks?
We may not have them at a point that they would be in 2 weeks. I could bring some draft versions if that's helpful, but if that helped, we'll be going to Planning Commission middle of January, and we will have them all by then, and it'll obviously go to Planning Commission, but that won't be 2 weeks. We're still working on them, is my point. If you don't mind a draft version, that will probably change a little bit.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to bring something that highlights some of that.
I think that the concern that Amy or Ernesto have, and I don't want to speak for you, but it was the same thing that I was going to say. You just said it better. Is I think sometimes we sit up here and talk about things, and the public hears us get all the details, and then sometimes we look at $50 million, and we're very quiet, and that's because all of us have had a chance individually to sit down with Public Works and Finance and kind of go over where they're at on this. And so we're well educated on it, but I think the hope is for the public to see that we're spending the $50 million wisely and as effectively as possible, because it is their money.
Exactly, yeah.
I think that's the hope. It's just to maybe spend a few more minutes on it rather than, I know it's a simple thing, but it also isn't. And I know we've all been educated, but they haven't.
We can have Public Works do a little bit of a
Can we get
Song
like
and dance?
song and dance for what we
some transitions on the slide?
last 5 years.
Not a good dancer, but
I think Sam looks more like a singer than a dancer.
I think that's the hope, though. It's just something to show the public.
sure.
Can we do that?
No, whatever you'd like, we'd be happy to do it. I'm not expressing it, I don't want to bring it. Just whenever you show a picture,
People think
that's what they expect.
people
And
think
so I
so,
don't want to set that.
Yeah, you can put the watermark that says draft.
Okay.
Right.
Sure, but yeah, we'd be happy to.
Okay.
I think that'd be good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Any other considerations?
Yes,
I had something
Yes.
better.
I do. I am sitting next to the Lifetime Achievement Award winner of the Margaret Hughes Cannon Award from Utah Women and the Hinckley Institute. So congratulations, Mayor.
Thank you
Well
very much.
deserved. Thank you. For those of you who don't know, Martha Hughes Cannon, first elected woman here in the state of Utah. She beat her husband in the elections. My
Did she
favorite
really?
thing about that story.
First
That's
woman
awesome.
in the country that was elected to a statewide office, and it was in Utah.
Go Utah.
So,
Go Martha Hughes.
I'm sorry, I should have said that earlier in the meeting when there were all those people here. But
it was an honor, and I appreciate the recognition. Thank you.
Wow. You deserve it.
That's all I had.
You had something?
Yeah, the youth council will actually be touring the SOC, the central control from the Light and Power. And I'm excited for them to see something beyond.
Are they touring it tomorrow?
No, it'll be December 10th at 3:30 after their schooling. Yeah.
That's awesome.
awesome. Anything else? We are adjourned.
One more.